It's time for Blumpkin&Friends, starring your host, the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
You stupid, ignorant son of a bitch, dumb bastard!
Hey kids, I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin, and with me today is my friend
Graeme of ITRadio, or
Yay.
formerly of ITRadio. Boo.
I just say of ITRadio fame.
Fame.
Because formerly makes it sound like something happened and you're retired, like you got an injury and then you can
technically, yeah, there was no injury. It's just that I got bored.
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you!
Did you dislocate your mojo?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. No, I'm trying to remember what the hell the fame of ITRadio, when PETA and Beer Bear were here with Damien, and he was, I think, 8 when they showed up. We were at the Mall of America and we were on the bumper cars, and I did something, and he's like, "It's okay. He hosts a podcast." That was the reason
was his excuse to the
that I
fucking
was
carny?
famous. I guess I was famous so I could do whatever the fuck I wanted to.
Can I do that? Can I go to like a dance club and pull out my nutsack? Be like, it's okay, I'm a podcaster.
Depends on which nightclub. 18 and under, that's okay.
No, I'm pretty sure that's a sex crime.
Wrong. Try again,
Maybe
dumbass.
what if it's a Catholic nightclub?
I don't think they have those. Was it just like heavy bass and like sped up organ music?
There you go. It's in Negata Vita.
Essentially, yeah, that's all it is. Tonight, because we both are wrestling fans, and I always like to be a ray of sunshine, we're going to talk about
Wrestler deaths.
Woohoo!
We're just going to talk about professional wrestlers that have died. And maybe you're not into wrestling, but some of these people have died in really fucking weird ways. And the stories behind them are interesting. So listen!
And we might just have to make up our own stories.
And towards the end of the program, I will bring in the juice. We will do live RPS.
Why?
I made her write down her answers already, so she doesn't try to pull that shit where she does it with real hands and then change it the last second to cheat. She's a dirty fucking cheater. 5 years old and she's already a crooked bitch at sports.
At sports, that I didn't realize that rock paper scissors was a sport.
You are well-trained athletes. Do you know how much wrist control it takes to say words?
To say words, yes. I have not figured out that whole concept yet.
Well, you
Even after 5, 6, 7, 10 years of doing radio shit, never figured it out. Just like how I say I can't read. How many tweets do you have? That doesn't matter.
Oh, bitch.
I want you to know that I grabbed information on, I think, 31 wrestler deaths.
And when I got here, Blumpkin was like, "Oh, there are my show notes." And I forgot to say it because you went to go take a leak, that there was one episode where I forgot where my show notes were. And somebody said, "Check the fridge." And about 2 months later, I cleaned the top of the fridge, and there it was. But I was like, hold on. I opened up the fridge, opened up the freezer, because I knew that I was in there. I don't know how they knew I was in there, like, right before the show. But they're like, "Check the fridge." It wasn't there. Fucking flat pieces of paper.
Why would they be in the crisper?
No, like in the freezer. But they were like, "Check your fridge."
Oh.
So how they knew I put them on top of
Magic.
my fridge.
They magically
And then I
knew.
found them. That's all. Thank you very much for listening. Bye.
What? No. Let's start. I'm just gonna switch it up, and I'm gonna go backwards through my notes with some people.
That's amazing.
We're gonna shut up.
I'm sure everybody was clamoring to their seats for that.
Okay, so Dr. Death Steve Williams. He was famous like prior to the Attitude Era. There was some joke that he was like JR's son.
That I don't know.
He was just a beast of a man that I think played football. And he wore like a white tank top and red shorts. He'd just come in and just 3-point tackle people was his finisher.
Yeah. Before late 80s, 90s WCW stuff, I didn't watch much. Like the old school guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know much of it. And here's this guy, "Hey, weren't you Weird Cookie in professional wrestling?" Yes, I was. But that doesn't mean anything.
Well, see, he got throat cancer, and then he beat it, and then it came back, and then he died.
And then it went into his wiener and he beat it.
Dick cancer.
I'm so glad you gave me an excuse to say dick cancer, because me and Bergie at work lately have been coming up with excuses to say
Dick cancer.
in that voice.
Is that like the "no thank you" commercial? Where you're smoking? "Hey, would you
Kind
like a
of.
cigarette?" "No, thank you."
Yeah.
"Hey, check it out. He can say this." I think the dude should just be like high-pitched Mickey Mouse.
For dick cancer?
Yep.
Dick cancer! What if a doctor came in and is like, I've got bad news? What? And then he breathes into a helium balloon? You've got dick cancer!
Yay!
You know, I would be really upset right now if the way you had said that was not completely hilarious.
It's like the little kid that got the shot where the doctor starts throwing... I know you don't watch enough YouTube videos and viral videos.
You don't know what I do. You don't know me. You don't know my story. You don't know where I've been.
Do you have internet in this house?
You don't know my struggle. No, I don't have internet
right
in this
there.
house.
Yes, I do know your struggle. You don't have internet in this house. No, he starts throwing Kleenex out of the box, and the kid's like, "Oh, ha, ha," and he just stabs the kid with the
Jesus.
needle. And the kid's like, but he's still throwing the stuff. I mean, it must have been like a flu shot or something.
Until he bumps the hand with the needle and snaps it off in the kid's arm.
It was just like, but nice try.
Either way, that's the last time you pulled a fucking flying Kleenex routine. Penis lips. Umaga. You remember Umaga?
Yes.
Okay.
That was like out of nowhere too.
It was. He was
Because-
otherwise healthy. He's a big guy.
He was
He's
a big guy,
Samoan.
but it was because he was watching TV, wasn't he? If I'm not mistaken.
Found unresponsive with blood coming from his nose and was rushed to the hospital. He had suffered a heart attack and was pronounced dead.
But not while watching it. Yeah, I think his wife like left the room and she came back and he had passed out. And it was like a year after he left or was released from the WWE. It wasn't very much. And then I found out his tattoos were fake.
Well, no
I'm kidding.
shit.
I'm kidding.
Anyway, so you thought that Umaga died suddenly, and he did, but here it says that his death was attributed to an acute toxicity, combined effects of hydrocodone, carisoprodol, I think that's a blood thinner pressure thing, and diazepam. Dun, 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 dun.
We should have a tally on like what drugs killed them.
I have a tally on what kind of deaths for the end.
Oh, okay.
Brian Adams, a.k.a. Crush, and half of tag team Chronic. So Crush was like a part of Demolition back in the early 90s.
It was all that face paint.
Yeah. No, probably not. Face paint killed him. ICP is going down hard. What?
Yeah.
So then later on in his career, he was in this tag team Chronic. Him and Brian Clark, who was Wrath, a.k.a. Adam Bomb. Adams was found unconscious in bed by his 7-year-old son. Pronounced dead by paramedics when they arrived. Mixing the painkiller buprenorphine with the muscle relaxant carisoprodol. Oh, there's my answer. Carisoprodol, muscle relaxant. And the sedatives, chlordiazepoxide and alprazolam. Jesus. The drugs were in his system at therapeutic levels, but their combination impeded his respiratory system. So he took the wrong combination of drugs.
Nice.
Road Warrior Hawk.
That one was a tragedy. Maybe because it hit close to home, meaning Minnesota, Wisconsin area. But his was very unexpected.
You know, I feel like you're just saying the same shit.
No, because he was
watching TV.
He was in the middle of moving.
I think you're getting your facts mixed up. In his home in Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, he recently bought a condominium near their current home and worked. Fuck you. Packing their boxes. And I didn't read my notes. I made these notes like a month and a half ago, Dick Toast. His wife checked on him at about 1 a.m. and he had died of a sudden heart attack in his sleep.
1 a.m. I thought it was the afternoon still.
Well, what the fuck does that make a world of difference?
I thought it was while they were in the middle of like packing boxes and he decided that he was going to take a nap.
He's going to lift the dining room table and then 1, 2, 3. And then he just keels over.
Table match.
Yeah. Oh, that's sad. Sean O'Hare. You remember Sean O'Hare?
No.
WCW. He was in the New Blood. Then he was in the Natural Born Thrillers. And then when they did the Invasion, he came and they didn't do much with him. But he had this gimmick that he was starting before they cut him loose, where he played like a devil's advocate type role. And he'd cut these vignettes where he talks about, you could cheat on your wife and no one would know. As long as you do this, as long as you do that, none's the wiser. And you're having your fun, but you still get to keep your family and everybody wins. But I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. That would be the catch line at the end is, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. He had apparently committed suicide and hung himself from a bedpost. Had been suffering from depression and alcohol addiction. He had been to WWE-sponsored rehab multiple times. The Von Erich family. See, this is one of the most tragic wrestling family histories ever. Mm-hmm. Multiple people in this family have taken their own life. David Von Erich died in Japan from a believed drug overdose. Mike, Chris, and Carrie committed suicide in 87, 91, and 93, respectively. Mike took an overdose of Placidil and booze. Chris shot himself in the head with a 9mm at his parents' home. That's sad. And Carrie shot himself in the chest behind his father's house. At least he had the decency to go outside.
Because then the poor guy doesn't have to clean that shit up.
Yeah, from like that ICP hotline.
Yep.
If you're going to do that shit, do it outside. Terrible. Terrible. Axel Rotten.
Just in the last year and a half.
February 4th, 2016. Found dead in a McDonald's bathroom.
Yeah.
Accidental heroin overdose.
Something's never changed with him. Because you heard all the stories back when he was in ECW where he was snorting coke off strippers' asses in the back. But it's like how rock stars back from the 80s and 90s like ruined rock stardom for now. You can't do shit.
Right.
Like, hey, party, drugs, sex, booze, yeah. No, it's, we're sober. We don't do drugs. We can't trash hotel rooms or we'll get fined.
Everybody will talk bad about you on the internet.
Yep.
Because back in the 80s and 90s, that news broke on the radio or MTV.
And they always had those really cool, like, yeah, we're awesome. We just broke this table in this back room.
Yeah.
We just broke the exit sign. Yeah.
I just smoked methamphetamine and shot an orphan in the face.
No, but
by
I'm
my
on
album.
stage. Yeah.
See you at the MTV Music Video Awards.
Where it'll just
Unless you're an orphan.
Yeah. Unless orphans go get families.
So, in July of this year, Axl Rotten's estate was named part of a class action lawsuit against WWE, alleging that wrestlers incurred traumatic brain injuries and that the company concealed the risks of injury.
My question is, why are they suing WWE when
A lot of that shit happened in ECW.
Yeah. Or
and,
Japan and everywhere else that they wrestled.
Yeah, FMW.
Yeah.
A lot of fucking messed up matches in FMW. Rick Rude, the ravishing one. Died at the age of 40, heart failure.
Wasn't he still working too?
I think a little bit, but he also died of an overdose of mixed medications that caused the heart failure.
Because was
training for a return to the ring. So he's looking to come back.
What year was it again?
99 already.
So that would have been right after. So WCW's at that point.
It was still around.
No, he was with WCW because
Yeah.
he left WWE. And that's the reason why they stopped recording and went live. Part of the reason. Because that was when he came over and said he was on WWE with the Degeneration X.
Uh-huh.
And then you switched over on commercial over to WCW and there's Rick Rude without a beard.
Yeah.
Because
he
they
just
recorded.
showed up.
Yeah.
Whoops. That and also how Eric Bischoff would start reading results of what's going to happen on Raw
But that
on
ruined,
the air.
But that ruined WCW with that one phrase of saying, yep, Mick Foley is going to win the title, and everyone turned to WWE, and that switched it up.
That was a colossal dick move.
He thought it'd be good, except, yeah, it completely backfired in his face.
Fuck you, you fucking dick! Crash Holly. Died 03 at Stevie Richards' house. He was found partially clothed with a pool of vomit around his face. Empty bottles of the prescription drug Carissa there it is again, and partially consumed bottle of alcohol. He had recently received divorce papers from his wife. His death, caused by choking on his own vomit, was officially ruled suicide.
I didn't know that Stevie Richards found him.
Wow, you learned something.
I did.
Well, what do you know about Mike Awesome?
That he killed himself because he did that 70s gimmick.
That might not be the specific reason why.
Because
the fat chick thriller Mike Awesome. That 70s guy Mike Awesome.
But talk about somebody that took too many headshots as well.
Yeah, him and
Masato Tanaka.
Him and Tanaka's famed ECW matches.
Jesus Christ, those headshots. Between the both of them, and how Tanaka's still alive now. He is, right? Or is he on the list?
No, he's still alive.
But even so, the very last match that they had, then going back to One Night Stand where they were doing the headshots, no arms up.
No, they were taking him straight on the forehead.
Exactly.
Just like I forget what pay-per-view, it might have been No Way Out, when Foley and Rock went back and forth, and Foley took like 19 chair shots to the head. And in the movie Beyond the Mat, he admitted that he has brain damage from it and he has memory loss.
Oh, yeah. He's gotten better, but he's already donated. He's donated his brain to science.
Mick
Foley,
Foley?
yeah.
Yeah, that's good. He's going to
Yeah.
have some wicked CTE.
Nope, he I think he might have been one of the first guys to do it, too.
Well, I wonder if they checked out Mike Awesome's brain, because he hung himself. Mm-hmm. So, preserved his brain.
One good thing he did was dump ICP on their head.
On the bus?
Yes. Still remember that, like, all of a sudden he's trying to grab onto him and just fucking lets him drop. Oops. That's what you get. This is a freshly coated bus of paint and
Wax.
Because it's got to look pristine, man.
Maybe they slipped on a puddle of Faygo.
Maybe.
How much do you remember about the tag team Public Enemy?
Very much so.
Rocco Rock and Johnny Grunge.
Yep.
They were fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They would also carry tables to the ring.
Yep. And go through them, and they didn't do so much chairs shit, but they did a whole bunch of, tables.
Well, they were doing tables before the Dudleys were really doing tables, but then their careers kind of ran parallel most of the way.
Somewhat. Because when they went out to ECW, it was BWO was around.
Yeah.
No, so maybe the Dudleys, but the Dudleys weren't doing like the tables that they're known for now until like the WWE. Dudleys were known more for everything underneath the sun, old school street fights versus New Jack, bringing everything to the ring. My favorite Johnny Grunge and Rocco Rock gimmick is actually not with them, but it was with Stevie Richards and Blue Meanie, because it's really hard to find, but it's one of the old ECW TV shows, and they come out as Public Enemy, and the fans are just going crazy, and they're like, hey, I've got a surprise! I'm sober! Because they were also in that whole era of Axl Rotten and
Partying hard.
Yep.
Well, Flyboy Rocco Rock died from a heart attack following an event in 2002.
Was he at IWA? Or is that just where Ian Rotten started the tributes with the Ted Petty Invitational?
I think that's where he started it with the Ted Petty Invitational. So, Johnny Grunge died in his home. Complications from sleep apnea. And his death was caused by heart
Sleep
disease
apnea?
and obesity. Jesus Christ. Here we go again. Medical examiner citing acute toxicity of carisoprodol and hydrocodone. That sucks. Well, now his wife, after Johnny Grunge died, his wife started being like a sobriety advocate. And the drugs that he got came from the same doctor that was prescribing drugs to Chris Benoit. Painkillers and such. Fucking drugs. It was his birthday today. Bam Bam Bigelow.
Beast from the East.
Oh, yeah. Greetings from Ashbury Park. Monster of a fucking man. Had a crazy life. Was a bounty hunter for a while.
Could backflip.
Yeah, how many big fat fuckers can moonsault like that?
Him. Who else was there? No, I can't think of it, but I know him. There was one other. Oh, Vader.
Yeah.
Who's also, or was, he's lost some weight, but yeah, big fat fuck that could backflip.
You want to see a great Bam Bam Bigelow match? Him and Taz at Heatwave 98, ECW. Heatwave 98 is, and I've said this lots of times to lots of people, but never on the air. Heatwave 98, my favorite pay-per-view of all time.
That pay-per-view is the pay-per-view that I would watch before every
That's
AEW
right, we
show.
talked about that. So
Yep.
I have said it on the show, probably.
Not that it was your favorite, but yeah, that's the. But I think that's the reason it's big is because that's when most people that were around that era remember that ECW invaded Raw, Sabu jumping off the Raw sign, and King bringing in RVD to go against the establishment of ECW.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, we got to watch this pay-per-view. And it was it Heatwave 98 that they were promoting, or was...
I think so.
Even if it wasn't, but that's, I think, the reason why is that most people that didn't know about ECW found out about ECW was because of WWE and then watching that pay-per-view. And it was just like, wow, these guys are awesome.
So Bam Bam was found dead in his home. And he was 45, and the autopsy showed his death was due to multiple drugs found in his system, including toxic levels of cocaine and an anti-anxiety drug. He had been suffering from heart problems, specifically arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Say that 3 times fast.
Try it.
Arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Arteriosclerotic cardiovascular disease. I did a pretty good job.
You fucked up this second.
Just a little bit. Fuck you. He had severe back problems, too. Because he did hardcore matches. He had a punishing style. He did not care about his body at all.
And he was part of the Chris Candido.
The triple threat.
Yep.
With franchise Shane Douglas.
And unfortunately, Shane Douglas is the only one left.
Yeah. Further down the page, we'll get there. Test. Andrew Martin, found dead in his home 4 days before his 34th birthday.
I just saw something that Kelly, was it Kelly that dated him?
Yeah.
That there's some TV thing, she's on some TV show and she goes to a medium and supposedly Tess talks to her.
I read that she went to a medium to try to make contact. I don't know what contact she made.
Yeah, I just saw the picture and she was crying. They got contact, yeah. He's in there in that room.
Is he in heaven giving people a test drive?
He knows that she moved on. Yeah, I got married in February.
Did he say, word up from the afterlife to all my testicles?
No.
Oh. Jesus Christ. It sounds like my kids are having a wrestling match upstairs. That's the Chi-Chi. She's jumping off of stuff. Little Bia. So Test, neighbor called because they were concerned about him because he'd been motionless for several hours. And they retrieved his body, scaling the apartment balcony and discovering he was indeed dead. Died the previous day, accidental overdose of oxycodone. And he also had severe chronic
diarrhea.
Encephalopathy. He had CTE. Chronic diarrhea. I don't know how that would kill you.
Just shit yourself.
You better only have black boxers on all the time. John Cronus, another ECW alumni. And he was found dead by his fiancée at home. He had gone under the knife for knee surgery.
Mm-hmm.
He died in his sleep, subsequently attributed to heart failure resulting from an enlarged heart. So after the knee surgery, his heart gave out.
Nice. Was it during the knee surgery, like recovering, or after?
Several days after undergoing knee surgery.
Gotcha.
Who the hell's out there? Get out of here, I saw you! Damn you, Chi-Chi. Chris Canyon.
Nobody's better than Canyon.
You know, and this is going to make me sound like such a prick, because Chris Canyon, for years, struggled with his sexuality. In an industry dominated by homophobia and big muscular men, he had to hide who he was. And I think that is probably the biggest motivating factor in why he killed himself, not like the waning career. He came out and he wasn't necessarily accepted. He had been suffering from bipolarism and he threatened suicide weeks prior to his death. And he took a whole bottle of antidepressants. And he left an apology note for his family. But after he died, being the sensitive man that I am, I started going, who deader than Canyon? I'm terrible. I don't mean to mock his death. It's just it fits so nice with his catchphrase, who better than Canyon? But honestly, I have so much fucking respect for that man as a worker because he juggled multiple gimmicks and he was a stand-up guy.
And pretty much all of them were good. They just didn't take off.
Mortis, Canyon. He just went by Chris Canyon for a while. I'm trying to think of what his other gimmicks were.
That guy.
Was he just that guy?
No.
Oh. I wouldn't put it past him. He was really good on the mic and good at crafting his persona.
Because he was part of Raven's Flock for a while too, wasn't he? Yeah. Back when Raven's Flock was like bigger than the NWO.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Riggs and Kidman.
Bagwell.
Van Hammer.
Bagwell was a part of it for a while.
Was he really?
I can't... Or no, I think it was just Scotty Riggs. That was after the American Males. Scotty Riggs is on Twitter and people are still bringing up the eye patch.
What's wrong with the eye patch?
Nothing. Can we talk about one other wrestling death?
We're going to talk about lots of wrestling deaths.
I'm probably going to get the name wrong now that I'm trying to think it off the top. Pepe.
Chavo's little horse?
Yep. That was a very sad day.
Who broke Pepe?
Was it him? No, was it Saturn throwing into the wood chipper?
That sounds about right. Was that about the time that he was walking around in a dress with Moppy?
I think so. That was, that was his. Hey, you're on the shit list. Here's a mop.
It's your girlfriend.
Yep.
So Pepe was like those old style wooden broom handles that go into like a plush horse head, and Chavo Guerrero would ride it to the ring. And Chavo Jr., not Chavo Classic, aka Chavo Sr. So Chavito would ride Pepe to the ring, and I don't know why it's just like Al Snow with head.
But Al Snow's head was awesome.
It was a mannequin head.
I bought a mannequin head for $5 at a Halloween store.
Did you?
Yep.
I think a lot of people bought mannequin heads just for that sole purpose of hoping ECW would come to town.
They were like, hey, can I just buy this mannequin head? Because I was like, oh my god. Because you go to the stores, you're like, where the fuck can I get an ECW mannequin head? I didn't realize you could just get them. Those fans loved that gimmick.
Who doesn't want head?
Nobody.
Transitioning to Balls Mahoney, April 12th.
2016.
This year. One day after his 44th birthday, he died suddenly at home. He was watching Jeopardy. And then he was laying on his side to get more comfortable. And then his wife noticed he was unconscious and called 911. And then attempted CPR. But he'd already died. Just his heart gave out.
Mm-hmm. One of the nicest guys in the business, too.
But he did a lot of drugs.
Crazy motherfucker, though. And the whole
Meth.
satanic shit and everything else, too.
I think he did a lot of meth.
He was part of the Anton LaVey Satanist, the dude, the head of the Satanist church, the guy that wrote the Satan.
He was a legitimate Satanist, huh?
Mm-hmm. He paid the $100 or whatever it is to become a member. And I think his wife and they got in trouble once for either drinking each other's blood or drinking somebody else's blood. But yeah, completely crazy fucker, but one of the nicest guys. And completely lived the metal gimmick.
Yeah.
100%.
Fuck yeah, he did. I'm going to transition to the ladies.
The ladies.
Miss Elizabeth.
Ooh, it's a lady. It's a lady.
Are you thinking of labia?
No.
Do you have pussy on the brain right now?
Sure.
Not cats either.
No. Oh, damn.
Vaginas. Vaginers.
What's a vagina?
What's a vagina?
What's a vagina?
It's a delicious fruit from the Caribbean is what it
Oh,
is.
okay. Land down under?
Yeah. Lex Luger called 911 to report that Miss Elizabeth was not breathing, and she didn't respond to mouth. And they rushed her to the hospital, where she was pronounced dead. D-E-D, dead. Cause of death? Acute toxicity of painkillers and vodka.
Yeah, I was going to say, how many painkillers was she on? Because I know that, because Luger got in trouble big time for that one.
Well, yeah, because all the drugs were, like, in his name, weren't they?
Yeah.
It's probably oxycodone, hydrocodone, whatever she could get her fucking hands on
Yeah.
for cassettes. So, with the ladies, a lot of them were managers. So, Miss Elizabeth managed Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Scott Hall, Lex Luger, Sting, Dusty Rhodes, are just to name a few. Sherry Martel. She managed, Jesus, look at this list, Crush, Jake the Snake, Greg Valentine, the Hammer, Ian Rotten, Jeff Jarrett, Marty Jannetty, Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels, Shane Douglas, Randy Savage, Terry Funk, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, the Honky Tonk Man, Tatanka, Zeus, Debo from Friday, Zeus, and the Harlem Heat.
I was going to say, you better put the Harlem Heat in there.
Fuck yeah.
Did she do Legion of Doom? Or was that just something?
Manage them or do them?
Probably do them too. She hung out in Minnesota quite a bit.
I don't have them down. I try to get the biggest names of who they manage because some of these broads manage like 35, 40 wrestlers. So I don't have Hawk and Animal down.
And she worked Shine or Shimmer.
Did she?
I think so. She did the one where they came up and worked First Ave with First Wrestling.
Uh-huh.
I think she was during that one.
Nice.
Because Bonnie was there. I mean, Graeme.
Oh no, real
Yeah,
names.
exactly.
Don't use real names. So how did Sherry Martel die, do you know?
Was hers drugs as well?
An overdose. High amounts of oxycodone in her system. She was 49. So a little too old to be partying.
But she was still doing work. She
Oh,
was
yeah.
still doing
Totally.
Pretty much indie stuff at that point.
Luna Vachon found at home dead by her mother in Florida. She was 48, and the district medical examiner's office found she died from an overdose of oxycodone and benzodiazepine. Great.
She was crazy. And I think right before she died, wasn't she working at a junkyard or a towing company?
Well, you would know better than I would.
I think that was what
This
the
was
WWE's
after the
like,
oddities went tits up.
yeah. But I think that was in like the WWE's Where Are They Now? And yeah, she was like a tow truck driver or something like that. Where Are They Now? It's just shows her grave.
It says they found crushed pill residue and snorting straws at multiple locations inside her house. So she was partying like a rock star all over the joint. Not unlike China. Joni Lore, China, the ninth wonder of the world.
No more pornos, man.
No more pornos with X-Pac.
No more pornos doing
Where
in the
she
butt.
Paints herself green and pretends to be the She-Hulk.
She was
Jesus.
just fucked up.
Her life was just a fucking chaos. And at the end, she had been taking medication for anxiety and insomnia. And she accidentally overdosed.
I'm going to come back. I'm going to get in the WWE. No, I'm not going to get in the WWE. I'm going to come back to the WWE. I'm not going to come. Fuck Hunter. I talked to Hunter at... No, I didn't talk... Yeah. No, I didn't talk to Hunter. Then X-Pac throws his love back at her.
The fact that she dated Triple H for years and then later on she dated X-Pac, do you really want to fucking be Eskimo brothers with Triple H? Do you want his sloppy seconds?
Everybody pretty much has done whoever Triple H has done.
Really?
Pretty much.
So that's his dick is the gold standard?
Probably.
Everybody else is like, oh, Triple H fucked her? I gotta get in on that.
Yeah. Probably.
Well, that's,
they may not ever admit it.
Good for him. Good for him. He must be good at sex.
Wouldn't know.
You should get on that. Schedule an interview.
No, I'm not going to get on that.
Okay, so
figuratively or literally.
Yeah, the most famous female performer death is Nancy Benoit, which will go hand in hand with Chris Benoit.
Woman.
And she managed Arn Anderson, Shane Douglas, Ric Flair, Dean Malenko, Psychosis, The Sandman, Randy Savage, Taz, The Steiners, Kevin Sullivan.
I was going to say you Chris better Benoit. Put in Kevin Sullivan since they were married. Yeah.
Well, okay, so if you don't know about Chris Benoit and Nancy Benoit's deaths...
you're living under a fucking rock.
Yeah, because it's one reason why they don't even want to acknowledge him on TV.
But yet they've been doing quite a few crossfaces.
Well, you can't stop using crossfaces just because he did them.
But before or for like at least a year, 2 years after, they wouldn't let them... No one could do the crossface. Or at least they would acknowledge that it was a crossface.
They couldn't even call it a crossface chicken wing?
I don't think so.
Because it was the Crippler crossface?
Unless Barry Horowitz did it. Unless Bob Backlund came back and did the crossface chicken wing.
Ah. So Chris Benoit had sustained an ungodly amount of concussions over the years with his diving headbutt finisher and just...
chair shots.
Yeah. He was a brawler but a technical wrestler, and he's still one of my favorites, even though his life ended so fucked up and tragically.
Him versus Kevin Sullivan, WCW, going into the bathrooms. Like that, it was so fucking awesome. They're going... Because it wasn't in the ring. It wasn't even on the outside of the ring. It was throughout the arena in the bathrooms. And then it got to the point that everybody would just... Oh, they're going to go, let's go follow them. Because back in WCW, it would be some lone guy peeing in the bathroom and fuck, zip up and run. If it was staged, I don't know, but...
Probably. Can you imagine if some guy was in there peeing and he zipped up and he got his dick caught in his zipper? Oh, God. Oh!
Blurs it out.
So Chris was also addicted to painkillers because he had sustained a bad neck injury and had to have fusion of a couple of vertebrae.
And steroids.
So what he did is he killed his wife.
They got food poisoning.
What?
That's what he told the WWE.
Why they couldn't make it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I missed that part of the alibi, but basically...
But it was supposed to be for that right before that pay-per-view. And he called in saying, oh, my family's coming down with food poisoning. And so he didn't show up. Because it wasn't his title holder, too, at that point?
No, I didn't get that into it with my notes.
But he was supposed to work the pay-per-view. Yeah, calls in before a pay-per-view.
Shit happens.
Literally.
So he kills Nancy, his wife.
Rolls her up in a rug.
He murdered her and rolls her in a rug. Well, he also placed a Bible next to both of their bodies.
That I don't remember.
Then he killed his son, and then he hung himself.
And didn't he give his son painkillers too? And
He-
supposedly put him in the cross-faced chicken wing until he passed out.
Yeah, double murder-suicide there, and then he hung himself using a weight machine cable.
Yeah. And how he got that around his neck.
Yeah, I don't know how many stacks of plates you'd have to put on a machine pull cable to make you hang yourself. The point being is it drastically changed the industry because they finally had to acknowledge that head trauma was affecting people.
And steroids.
And steroids.
Because it was a matter of the head trauma plus roid rage. And in some ways it also contributed... Well, it was also because of Eddie Guerrero, too.
Because Eddie had died, and Eddie was next on my list. Notes. So basically, Eddie Guerrero died because his heart exploded, and the rumor was he was huge on cocaine.
But he was brushing his teeth. And then they found him on the bed in Minneapolis. Right before that pay-per-view.
Yeah. And he was in, like, awesome shape, so people were just totally surprised by him. Oh, God.
Daddy.
What?
My sister banged my head on your floor.
Well, try to sustain fewer head traumas, or else one day you may try to hang yourself with a weight cable.
Yeah.
Gotcha, bitch.
On your floor, not somebody else's
You like
floor.
how I wrap that back up into the program?
Your flowers. Or your floor.
Yep. So Eddie died in his hotel room here.
And Chavo found him, I believe.
It was fucking terrible because they came on. I saw it on the news and I thought it was a joke. My dad had said, "Hey, some wrestler died." I'm like, "Who?" Because if my dad heard about it, it was on the national news, which meant it was somebody huge. Because my dad didn't follow wrestling. But yeah, Eddie died, and he had tons of alcohol and drug problems for years.
He was sober at that point, I believe.
Mostly. Well, see, the rumor I always heard is that they went into his hotel room and it was white like the North Pole.
Because I'm trying to think who he was hanging out with the night before, but I can't remember now. It'd be awesome if I could pull it up, but I have no signal here.
You have no signal. So now I'm going to rapid fire some.
All right.
Are you ready?
Go for it.
Randy Savage.
Hit a tree.
Hit a tree. Had a heart attack, and then hit a tree, and he died.
And he was, everybody was still fighting for him to get in the Hall of Fame. It still took how many years after he passed away. And they were also thinking that he'd make some kind of comeback in some way, shape, or form.
He should have.
And his wife, unfortunately, was in the car with him, and not to say unfortunately that she lived, but that she had to live with it after him suffering that heart attack.
The horror of all that and being a part of it, yeah.
Yep.
British Bulldog. Davey
Drugs.
Boy Smith. Suffered a fatal heart attack while on vacation. Coroner attributed it to steroid abuse and discovering microscopic scar tissue on his heart.
He didn't have so many headshots, but he still had,
Well, he was so jacked out of his mind.
Yeah.
Kurt Hennig. Drugs. Big cokehead.
Funny as hell. And he could put anybody over, too.
And he died a night that he was supposed to wrestle. Booked in Florida. Brian Pillman.
Drugs.
Heart condition. Took him. He just fucking died.
I thought his was drugs.
Well, drugs would work with the heart condition thing. But,
No, maybe he just had the heart condition, but no, he was just fucking crazy in the head.
he died on a pay-per-view night, too.
He lived up to his gimmick, too.
Oh, he was fucking insane.
And wasn't he... Yeah, he's the reason why they have contracts.
Because they were on like handshake deals then, or what?
Pretty much. And so he'd just start saying, "Hey, you want to hire me?" And he'd just start working everybody. One day he'd be on WCW, the next day he'd be on ECW, and fucked them over somehow. And
It is sad.
And how Terry Funk is still alive? No idea.
Was he a hard partier too? Or was he an alcoholic?
I think it was alcohol, but he was just with the hardcore matches and everything else.
Yeah. And this is not a big one, but Renegade. So back around this time, WCW brought in a bodyguard for Hogan, and they keep showing these silhouettes of some guy who was jacked out of his mind with long hair and like tassel-y wardrobe. People thought it was the Ultimate Warrior, but it was this guy, Renegade.
And he got shit on for that.
Yes, he did. So they brought him in, and then they immediately put him, in the upper mid-card and the TV title. But so basically people thought he was the Warrior, and he didn't say that he wasn't. But then the Ultimate Warrior actually came out in the media and said, hey, this is me. That guy's not me. And then he wrestled a match where he lost his title to DDP. And that was pretty much it for Renegade, because he kept being a jobber thereafter. They used him as an enhancement talent, and he decided after they cut him loose to shoot himself in the head. So he went from nothingness to the top of the world to, which will bring me to the Ultimate Warrior, who oddly enough was steroided out of his mind when he was in the WWF back in the day.
Yes.
And then he disappeared for a while, and then he went to WCW.
Then you would shit on Hogan.
Yes, quite frequently, not like in a
Just
Dutch
like the
porn
year
style.
prior. Yeah, the year prior.
So he eventually made his way into consideration for the WWE Hall of Fame. And he got inducted WrestleMania weekend.
And the video game. Because he was in WWE 2K15. Whatever year that he got inducted is the WWE video game. Because that was their kind of announcement. Like, hey, Ultimate Warrior is coming back.
In video game form.
Yep. And then worked up to the infamous promo, Taking Your Last Breath, and
every man's heart one day beats its final beat.
Dying the next day.
The next night after his induction, he had a heart attack and died. It's fucking terrible. Chris Candido. We talked about him around the time when we were talking about Bam Bam Bigelow, but Chris Candido was in so many different federations, and he was such a great performer, but his life was just like fucking off the rails crazy.
But they never did drugs.
Right.
According to Sonny.
Yeah, right. Who's been in rehab how many times?
Yeah.
Tammy
I
Lynn Sitch?
haven't done drugs. Fuck me in the ass. She just did Sunny Side Up.
Is that a Hallmark card?
No, it's her porno.
I haven't done drugs.
And if you had the internet, you could have Skype sessions where she masturbates for you.
That'd be awesome. I'd watch that.
She's not good looking anymore, dude.
I wouldn't be looking at her face. I would hope it would be like a close up of her twat.
It's no Sunny from 2000 or 1997.
I realize that it's probably like a goddamn Big Montana roast beef blowout.
Pretty much.
Still.
Pretty much.
Flicker bean. So Candido, he had recently debuted in NWA TNA, and he broke his tibia and fibula in a tag team cage match. So he had surgery, and the doctor used titanium plates and screws to repair his leg. The day after the surgery, he attended a taping for Impact, and 2 days after that, fell ill and was rushed to the hospital with pneumonia.
I thought it was staph infection.
He died of a blood clot caused by complications from the surgery. And a week prior to that, he had been healthy and clean and kicking ass and taking names. Mm-hmm. And that sucks.
Because, they were saying how this was a huge comeback for him. I think his next big opponent was supposed to be Punk. That didn't happen.
That super duper sucks. Which brings us to the last one, the granddaddy of them all, Owen Hart.
That's how you and I met. Because of Owen Hart.
Refresh me.
The MSI concert. Where we were joking about somebody coming down from the rafters and we mentioned Owen Hart and you overheard the name. I
know that you and Frosty were standing like right behind me
something
and
about
Lunchbox.
Yeah, but we mentioned something about Owen Hart and you turned around and joined in. But it's still
you're
way
a weird
too
cookie.
soon. Yeah, it's still way too soon.
So 1999, Owen Hart was being the Blue Blazer.
Which was an original gimmick of his.
Yeah.
And then he came back. Yeah, they kind of were like, hey, you're going to do the Blue Blazer gimmick. Fine, fuck, I'll do it.
So he's up in the rafters of the arena, and they hooked a harness rigging to him so he could descend from the ceiling. Only his cape from his costume got caught up in the carabiner clip, and it never fastened. So as they started to lower him, it unclasped, and he fell 80 fucking feet.
Head on the turnbuckle.
Hit his head on the turnbuckle, and then to the mat, and then he had a heart attack right there, but he had also, broken his neck. And that was a night when he was supposed to wrestle The Godfather. So the pay-per-view cut to like black and white, and they announced that The Godfather had won. And then they killed the feed and went backstage, I didn't see the pay-per-view. I've kind of seen some grainy footage of the fall. But what I remember most is the night after on Raw, the Owen Hart tribute episode.
Jeff Jarrett losing it.
If you don't care about wrestling, I challenge you to go back and find that
Tribute,
Monday Night Raw
yeah.
tribute to Owen Hart and not feel really sad, because they had special matches in his honor. They did behind-the-scenes interviews with everybody.
How Jeff Jarrett worked that night. Because, yeah, I think, wasn't he the match after that, too?
I believe so.
So he was supposed to follow after his best friend died. And then, yep, working that.
And Double J was just bawling his eyes out. And I was sitting in bed watching it because I taped it while I was at work and I came home. Everybody came out to the ring. They kept showing Owen's wife holding their son, and he had an Owen Hart action figure in his hands.
Mick Foley's son wanted a mullet because of Owen Hart. I think that's what didn't he say? Hey, Dad, I want to get a haircut like Owen Hart. Yeah, and no one could say a bad thing about Owen Hart ever.
He was such a great dude. He was such an incredible worker. He was so charismatic. Everything about him oozed professionalism.
And was one of the biggest pranksters, too.
Yeah. To this day, I feel like of all the people on this list that didn't quite reach their full potential, that should have, Owen Hart. You would have seen that man in the main event for years to come.
Even if he wasn't main event, he would have been like the top of the mid-card forever.
Yeah, he was fucking great. He can make just about anybody look good.
What was it? He's going to kick his leg out of his leg?
Yeah.
But the matches between him and Brett, what they could do together was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy have had some good matches, but
they're nothing on the Hearts.
It was all technical. It wasn't high flying. Yes, there might have been some turnbuckle stuff, but it wasn't, hey, I'm going to jump off this, I'm going to go through this. Nope, it was all mat wrestling, tribute to their dad, technically.
Stu Hart.
Dungeon.
So, here's the final tally, and the math comes to 35 people who I looked at. 10 of them were due to heart failure, 11 for drugs, 9 for suicide, 2 for accidental death or murder, being Nancy Benoit and Randy Savage, and then 3 for other, like Candido and stuff. And it's not like that, really, anymore in wrestling because of the extensive drug testing policies, but I guarantee that there's people that are medicating with stuff. I mean, WWE keeps suspending people for wellness policy violations due to Adderall.
Yeah.
Which
for
is bullshit.
ADD. Or ADHD and whatnot.
Or, like RVD probably could have gone to the top of the pile in WWE, but he kept getting busted for weed. For fucking weed.
You guys be quiet for a last minute.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Because it's time.
It is.
You're listening to Blumpkin&Friends.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Blumpkin&Friends proudly brings to you the Rock, Paper, Scissors Intercontinental Championship Challenge Championship of the World! And we are live with current champion, The Juice. Say something.
Hi.
I'm the Juice.
No.
No, you're not.
You're Graeme of ITRadio fame.
Mecca like a high, Mecca.
But I'm the Juice.
No, I'm the Juice.
This could go on for hours if you provoke her.
I know.
So, what we're going to do here is Graeme is going to live challenge, and we are going to do this. You better not read the answers too early, or he's going to beat you.
But I would just like to put in here that you had the Juice write down her hand so she doesn't cheat.
Yeah,
Why?
we talked about this because she's a dirty fucking cheater, and she always tries to change her answer to try to beat you.
I heard about you.
You're a dirty cheater.
All right.
So, Graeme, hand number 1.
My first hand is a paper.
Daddy, why isn't it recording?
Oh my God, you're not even technically here right now. Shush your butt.
Hey, Sipboard.
Hold on. I gotta make the thing with the thing so I can keep track. There's a G. There's a J. What did you throw?
Paper.
What did you throw?
Scissors.
Point to the Juice.
Yeah.
Hand number 2. Did you just toot on me?
No, I didn't.
Hand number 2.
Rock.
Graeme throws a rock. The Juice throws.
Rock.
That is a tie. Hand number 3.
I will throw another rock.
What did you throw?
Paper.
Oh.
This kid's cheating.
I'm not.
How is she cheating? We wrote this down in my
wrote 'em
car
up-
2 hours ago.
You wrote them upside down.
What?
The hands are all backwards.
No, she can't read very well to begin with. So,
Na boo boo.
hand number 4. You need this one.
Paper.
No, Daddy. No one comes up. Rock.
Oh, point to Graeme.
Hey, I just got 2.
Well, if Graeme gets this one, we will go into tiebreaker mode.
Uh-oh.
Hand number 5.
Paper.
What did you throw?
Paper.
That is a tie. So with 2 points to 1 point, the winner and still RPS Intercontinental Championship Challenge champion. Say your name. Motherfucker, not your real name.
The juice.
You've got to keep that in.
Get off my goddamn lamp. Are you serious?
That was awesome.
Jesus.
You got to keep, dude. I don't care if this part's in. You got to keep that in, just because the juice.
Obviously. Okay, shut your mouths while I wrap it up.
Okay.
Interact with the show on Twitter at Blumpkin Show. That is at Blumpkin Show. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Blumpkin&Friends.
You can find my old website at geocities.com/Hollywood/hills/5193. When you were given the whole groups thing, that's what I remembered. Was my old GeoCities website.
Jesus.
Hollywood/hills/5193.
Okay, Hollywood/ shut the fuck up. I'm trying to end the show. I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
I am Graeme of ITRadio.
Good night.